Hello, everyone. This is Megan.
And this is Alana.
And welcome to Tea Time Crimes.
We're back.
Man, you've had two good intros in a row.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to take any you-know-what from Gen Z.
I'm so happy about this. You're just nailing it. You know what's so funny? I was editing last week's episode because this is a two-parter.
Yeah, it's so exciting.
And Brad heard the intro and he stopped what he was doing and said, wow, that's Alana's best intro ever. I said, I know. He hadn't even heard me say it yet. I said, I know it is. I said, she got it together. He said,
it's
she doesn't.
All about mockery.
She didn't wait forever and she doesn't sound ridiculous. I said, I know.
I'm here, baby.
Yeah. So we are here for part 2 of the Belle Gunness story. If you did not listen to last week, I'm going to be throwing out some spoilers soon. So go back and listen to last week.
Go back and listen.
Yeah. Girl's a delight. And
True.
We're here. I've only got 1 cup. I didn't want to get destroyed today, so I only have 1 cup of water today to make sure that you're not upset for a part 2.
Just the water. There's no liquid community today.
Good Lord. You're so strict. You're so harsh on me.
Oh, yeah.
You are very strict. So I think we should just jump right in. We still have a lot to cover.
Okay.
Unless you've got something, any big news, you look excited.
No. I had to think about it.
That pause was a millennial, so that was perfect.
I was being thoughtful.
Yeah, you were.
Wait.
Oh.
I was talking to you about those mushrooms I got at the farmer's market. Well,
are you
we
sick?
turned it into a fantastic dinner with gnocchi and mushroom. So,
well, I'm glad you got them from somebody who knows what they're doing instead of just trying to pick.
She actually grows them.
Yeah, well, good. Instead of trying to just pick random mushrooms on the side of the road that you think.
Well, I'm going to still try to do that.
Please don't. Do you know that mushrooms are very deadly? And even the most seasoned mushroom expert has died from eating the wrong one.
Yeah, but there's books now, and you're supposed to nibble a little bit and then see if you die. Nibble a little bit more, see if you die. Like, there's a whole process.
Are you kidding me?
But I haven't gotten there. And when I get there, not die, start feeling sick.
Okay. No. I am not ever doing that. I'm never going to nibble and see if I die.
Get sick, like a little tummy ache, perhaps. That's why you nibble instead of chomp.
Nibble and die. It's just great. It's awful. We live in a time and a place where we can go to the store and buy mushrooms. So there is no need for this trial and error of death.
But it's about learning and discovery.
People have already discovered it. It's not like this is new. You're not finding something new.
Personal discovery.
Oh my God. I mean, take a class, girl.
I would like to. I would.
Right
now, I'm just learning from a book.
No, I don't mean take a class on mushrooms. Go take a class about something you want to discover about yourself.
Oh, not as fun.
You are going to...
Don't worry, I won't die. I'll just nibble.
Oh my God, you make me so...
And I'll do all the prep.
Nervous.
Anyways, it was a great dinner. Thank you to the mushroom lady.
Glad that you're still here. And thank you, lady at the farmer's market, for having mushrooms that you know are safe so that Dum-Dum here doesn't go out and nibble herself to death. All right. What tea do you have today, weirdo?
Oh, well, if last week was a high and the week before was a low, we're probably back at a low.
I love your optimism.
I mean, I almost gagged when I smelled it.
Well, remember that time you had the mushroom tea and you said it smelled terrible, but it tasted good?
Yeah, that's true.
There's still hope.
I don't think it's going to be the case here because I don't drink coffee. You don't drink coffee.
No.
And this tea is based on coffee. It's a little weird. So It's a roasted herbal tea, a mocha. So even, oh my God, I didn't realize it was a mocha. 75% organic medium roast, lush chocolate over the essence of coffee and a hint of sweetness. So it doesn't actually have coffee in it. It's caffeine free and acid free,
Ew.
whatever. I think acid comes with coffee, but I think it's going to be terrible. So yeah, it says enjoy a steaming, not cold brewed this time, cup of deep roasted, fresh brewed tea that delivers rich, bold flavor with the health benefits of herbs, or as some people say it, herbs. What was interesting about the directions is that they want you to dunk the bag several times in the beginning for the best brew. I dunked it at the end because I'm a rebel in minor doses.
But you're usually not around your tea. This is why you make no sense.
I know, but this tea made me mad.
You make no sense. You're such a rule follower
It
for
says
your
it
own
contains almonds.
personal rules, and then everybody
Right.
else's rules can just take a hike. So it's a hot tea, though.
It smells like a mocha, actually. It said you could do what you normally do with your tea, like add milk and sweetener
Yeah.
per your preference.
I would add
so
milk.
I added milk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any sweetener?
No, I don't use sweetener in my tea.
Oh, excuse me. I don't eat white sugar or white flour. Oh.
I do,
Mhm.
but just not my tea.
But let's be honest, you have a habit tracker, and on that habit tracker is how much sugar you've consumed.
Well, not how much, just if I've gone over a certain threshold.
You should see these trackers, guys.
I could post a picture of them.
Please do. They are color
It
coordinated.
actually smells better now. Before I added milk, it made me gag. I think thinking about it as tea and smelling it as coffee is very upsetting to my system. Okay, we're going to go in. Ready?
Yes, please. Thoughts?
Huh.
Oh.
It's not that bad.
Hey.
It's not that bad. You know what? This reminds me of when I used to be shipped to Iowa every summer with my grandparents, and my cousins and I would all have a crazy grand time. And we would stay up late playing video games and drink those Starbucks frappuccinos in the little bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this tastes like. And so now I am immediately brought back to Iowa.
No, that's nice.
Okay, I can get down with this.
All right. It's funny how tastes and smells really affect the memory.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good. It's a little light, like it doesn't linger or anything like that, because it's an herbal tea, right? It's not going to have a depth.
Right, of course.
That body you can really grab onto.
Obviously.
So it kind of slips away very quickly. But while you're sipping it and while it's in the mouth, it's a joy. And joy seems too strong.
Oh.
It's nice.
Okay. Can we get a rating?
I'll give it a thumbs up. No adverbs or adjectives.
Cool.
That's surprising. No, a surprising thumbs up.
Love it. Love it.
Yep.
Great. Okay. This was just a twist and turn on this tea
I
review.
know.
I know. Very passionate. All right, cool. So, like I said, spoiler alert. So if you have not listened to last week, go back and listen. Go back. Because I'm about to recap for you and ruin everything.
As they say in Lost, we have to go back.
Never seen it.
Oh my God.
Well, I mean, you shouldn't be surprised. How many times in our relationship have I said, I don't know, never seen it, never heard of it, never read it. Don't even know what you're talking about.
True.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
We're
boy.
talking about Belle Gunness, Hell's Princess, the Indiana Ogress, what's her awesome name that I love so much?
Oh, the castle one.
Yeah. The Mistress of the Castle of Death, right?
It's so dramatic.
So dramatic. So Belle, to recap, was a Norwegian immigrant who bought a 48-acre farm in LaPorte, Indiana, had a couple husbands, had a couple children who died. Mysterious.
Weird.
And then she started taking out ads, first for hired help and then personal ads. And it got a little steamy. And she's got a lot of male visitors at her hog farm. A lot. She claims they're cousins. A lot of them are leaving unannounced and leaving their trunks behind. Belle's just walking around, tending to the hogs, wearing their clothes. I don't know. Also, Belle's freakishly strong, and there's rumors that she can lift pianos.
It's true.
So last we heard, a lot of hired help had some impromptu trips where they just up and left. And then a lot of men reached out for these personal ads, and we had just left poor Andrew with Belle at the bank. And he had cashed his certificates in. The bank teller and Andrew thought cashier's check would be best. And Belle said, I'm going to need that cash. Going to need that green. And Andrew said, okay.
Get that dollar.
And nobody ever saw Andrew again. So Andrew had told his brother, Aisley, that he'd only be gone about a week. So a week had come and gone, and no Andrew.
And he ain't getting home.
Aisley starts getting a little suspicious and starts to look into things. And the hired help is also like, hey, I'm supposed to just be here for a week. And they search his cabin, and in the cabin, they find all the letters from Belle. Meanwhile, back at the farm, Andrew's nowhere to be found. February of 1908, Belle gets rid of Ray. Ray leaves in a huff. He leaves all of his stuff behind, but he legitimately is still alive.
She doesn't kill him.
No, he's still alive. He just happens to leave his stuff behind. I guess she kicked him out pretty quick.
What are the odds?
And Ray files a suit to demand his things back, and Belle goes to the sheriff, and they get into this thing. Belle reports him for trespassing 4 different times, and he has to go to court.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. In March, Andrew's brother actually writes Belle, like, hey, where's my brother? Because remember, he went there in January.
Oh, my God.
And Belle's like, yeah, I don't know. He said he might go to Chicago, might go to Norway. I don't know. Good luck with that. I'm not sure where he went. Just really helping with it, narrow down the search, right? So Andrew's brother is coming, kind of questioning, poking at her. And at the same time, she's dealing with Ray, who she says is trespassing on her property. She goes and files an affidavit stating Ray's insane and he's obsessed with her and he's jealous and, he's a real danger. She's really laying the groundwork here for some stuff. They have doctors evaluate Ray, and a committee decides that he's not insane. He just is nervous, which I get it. I get it. Probably afraid he's going to get hit in the back of the head.
Right.
So, but it keeps happening. Like their little feud continues. And Andrew's brother continues to write Belle. He wants to know what is going on.
Right.
Belle then starts spreading the story about Ray all over town. Like she's talking to anybody who will listen, like telling everybody how crazed Ray is, that he's obsessed with her and he's jealous and he's like stalking her. And then on April 27th of 1908, the Gunness girls arrive at school crying, so Myrtle and Lucy. And that was unusual. And the teacher's like, what's going on? And they said that they'd received a terrible beating for starting to head down into the cellar. And they're not supposed to go into the cellar.
Oh, no.
And that's later that day, Belle goes to her lawyer and says, I'm in constant fear. Ray's threatened to burn down my home. I fear for my life. I want to make a will today. I want everything to go to my children, Myrtle, Lucy, and Philip. But no mention of Jenny. Jenny's not in the will, which I find odd considering she's had her since a baby.
That's bad. Because she knows she's dead.
She says, and if my children aren't alive, then I want everything to go to the Norwegian Children's Home.
Oh, piss off.
So she makes the will, writes it, signs it.
And burns down the house.
She goes to the candy store. She picks up some toys and some sweets for the kids. And the woman's like, oh, are you having a party? She's like, no, I'm just going to give them a little surprise. Then she goes and buys 2 gallons of kerosene in a 5-gallon container. The story goes that Ray happens to come in the store at the same time to buy tobacco, and they see each other and they just stare at each other and don't speak.
Awkward.
At 5:30, Belle gets home, makes dinner, plays with the kids. The kids have the new toys, spends an evening just playing with the children, according to Joe Maxon, who is Ray's replacement and back up in the farmhand room. He's allowed in the house. So Joe Maxon actually wakes up later that night or early the next morning to smoke in his room. He yells for Belle and the kids. They're not responding. He can't find them anywhere. He runs out of the house with some of his belongings, and then he finds an axe and tries to break down the front door to go back in and get them, but he can't. He's unable to do it. So he goes to get help, Neighbors arrive, and they're trying to break down windows. One of the men gets a ladder. They use it to climb up to the kid's bedroom, but all the beds are empty.
Good.
Eventually, they go into town and get help, and there's a bucket brigade the house is in ruins. There's only 3 standing walls. It's totally burned to the ground, and they're putting out the fire just basically to search the debris.
Yeah.
So by the time they're done, only the cellar is left, and they spend all day digging at the ruins, trying to see if they can find anyone. The last corner of the cellar that they search, the southeast corner, they find the body of 3 children and a headless woman.
What?
So newspapers, this is happening at the end of the day. So newspapers get their story out for print for the next day. They say Belle's been found. She was clutching her 3 children, trying to save them.
Why does she not have a head?
They've all perished in the fire. The fire burned off her head.
That's not how it works.
So immediately, who do they go pick up?
Right.
Duh, Ray. Because how long has Belle been walking around town saying, Ray said he's going to burn my house down. Ray said he's going to burn my house down.
Suicide?
They find Ray at a new job on a different
I know
farm.
what happened.
And Ray goes, yeah, I saw the fire early in the morning, but I just didn't say anything. Didn't seem like my business. They're like, really? That's what happened? They bring Ray in immediately because
yeah, it's not a good response.
Who starts with that? And so Ray claims that he had nothing to do with it. He claims his alibi is that he was with another woman. Remember, it's 1908.
Right before World War I.
That other woman happens to be a woman named Elizabeth Smith, who is a Black woman. So he didn't want to say it at first, right? Because, racism is running rampant in 1908. But this woman backs up his story. She says Ray just rented a room from her for the night. Ray says otherwise. Ray's like a 38-year-old man, and this woman is 70, by the way.
All right, Ray.
She was once a beautiful woman, they say, but time was tough on her, and now everybody thinks that she's a witch, like who lives alone in a cottage.
Doesn't sound so bad.
That's my fate too, so I'm fine with that. But anyway, she confirms that he was with her. But then he left early in the morning, and as he was walking to
work
or whatever, he sees the house on fire, and it's just like, too bad for you, and keeps walking. Essentially, is the story. It's a solid one. It's a really good one.
He should say about the kerosene, though. He should tell them about that.
It's weird that the head is missing.
So I think it might not be her.
Right, which is where we're getting. But the body is so badly burned, like other things are missing too, so they're unsure.
But a whole skull.
But a whole head. Yeah, the skull should honestly be the last thing.
The skull is like really solid.
Yeah, it should be the last thing to burn, essentially. So it's weird. So they start searching the property for clues to see if they can find anything like the head or other things that might help them decide what's happening there.
God, I hope she killed the kids before they burned alive.
Andrew's brother catches wind of all this, and he's like, oh, okay, I'm going there because obviously something terrible has happened. So he arrives and he starts searching the debris with everybody else. Okay. They find nothing else in the house debris, and he's getting frustrated. So he starts talking to the farmhand. He says, hey, he notices there's a huge pond on the property, and Belle also raises hogs and stuff and goats. So there's a huge pond on the property by where the hog pen is. And he says, hey, in the winter, when that ice is over, were there ever any holes in it? Thinking maybe she dumped the bodies in the pond. And the farmhand's like, no, it's always been just a straight sheet of ice. And he's like, all right, well, he knows the theory. And he is defeated, and he says goodbye to everyone, and he turns to go home. He doesn't even leave the property. He stops and he turns around and he says, hey, were there ever any other holes that she asked you to dig? And Joe's like, yeah, actually, she asked me to dig several holes for trash. And he says, can you show me those? So the first hole they find, right, it's for trash. You dump trash in it. They start digging, and pretty quickly down, they smell something just worse than any trash you could ever imagine.
Oh, God. I'd never want to do this.
And they find a burlap sack.
No, don't open it.
About 4 feet down. Do you want to earmuff for what they found in that sack, or would you like to know?
Well, let's start, and I can rip the headphones off if I need to.
Okay. So they find a head.
It's not hers.
It's Andrew. He recognizes it as his brother, and there's an arm nearby.
Ew.
There's some legs.
That's why she's called a butcher.
It's just body parts.
Ew.
Yeah.
Why didn't she feed them to the pigs? That probably would have been the smart thing.
And it's covered with trash. And she covers it with trash.
Okay.
And it was clear that Andrew had defensive wounds because there were deep, deep cuts all along his arms. And there's even hair clutched into his hand. It's obviously not his. They find this, and then somebody has the presence to say, hey, did you dig any other holes? He's like, yep, sure did. Other trash holes.
No, please.
So they start going around.
No more.
And they find just pieces. And one of the skulls is thought to be Jenny. And so gone now are the stories of Belle being trapped in the house and trying to save her children from an evil Ray.
She's
now,
evil.
There's something else going on. And the question is, did Ray help her or did he not know? They don't know. So they start intercepting her mail because she still has some letters out there. And they actually receive a letter from a man named Carl Peterson who was getting ready to sell all his stuff and come there. Dodged a bullet, sir.
Yeah, or a butcher knife.
Super lucky. And they talked to him, and from him they could get a clear picture of exactly what she did to all of the men, which is like lots of love letters followed by, hey, sell everything you got, bring the cash, we're going to have a great farm and a great life together. P.S. Don't tell anyone because this is a exciting secret we want to keep close to us. Crowds start surrounding the farm. I mean, this goes on for a few days. They just keep finding sacks with just body parts. Torsos, legs. Some are dumped into privy holes. Some are buried in these trash holes.
And what was in the cellar that she didn't want her kids to go in?
It was thought that she would keep the bodies there until they were ready to be buried.
So gross. Can you imagine the force they have to do to chop through spines and stuff?
Yeah, that comes up. That's why I mentioned her strength earlier. So they found in one hole, in lots of holes they find trash. But in one hole, they found a dozen pairs of men's shoes covering up a pile of bones.
Oh, my God.
So they have to turn Belle's carriage house into a makeshift morgue to lay out all of these things that they found. And rumors start circulating. So one of the rumors that starts is that Belle was actually in cahoots with a Chicago gang and that they would ship the trunks to her house and she would just dispose of the bodies for them.
No.
And part of that seemed to come from the fact that of the dismemberment, because the doctor said that it was done by an expert with an expert knife.
Oh.
And he thought that the parts were maybe just mailed to her, assuming that she couldn't do it herself. But she actually loved to butcher pigs. So she knew what she was doing.
Things connecting parts here.
Yeah.
Who loves to butcher pigs? That's a weird thing to love to do.
I mean, I don't know if she loved it, like she put it on her resume or like her online profile, but like most women at that point in time would raise the pigs and feed the pigs and cook the meat, but they would not do the butchering. That was unusual. And Belle was like, I got this. And, would hoist that 200-pound pig over her shoulder and take care of business, as we heard.
Oh, my God.
So the local police don't think that there's a Chicago gang element. These are just theories that are coming from different, like, Chicago law enforcement. They just think it was a scam for her to get money.
Yeah.
Which seems very likely. And they think that she would poison them because that would make them weak, and then she would kill them with usually a blow to the head, and then she would dismember them. That's what the local police think. That makes the most sense to me. Now it's May 7th, and the newspapers are just, this is exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They've got 4 different theories. One is that Belle killed herself and the kids. One is that she fled after the killing. One is that Ray killed her and the kids. And then the 4th is the Chicago gang thing, which seems to kind of get displaced pretty quick.
I think she ran away.
So the next day, they find a wooden box with disintegrated body parts and women's shoes.
It's the head.
All in total, they find 11 burlap sacks with just bones wrapped in disintegrating flesh.
So disgusting. Ew.
Yeah. So we know that Jenny and Andrew were more than likely. They have a really hard time IDing the bodies. I mean, they don't have the same technology that they would have today. So it's really tough. So they know that Jenny and Andrew are there. They also are able to identify Ollie Budsberg, who I mentioned earlier, who sold his
Mhm.
farm to his sons actually come and are able to identify him because he has very distinctive facial hair, like bright red, and they know that it's him.
Oh,
They believe the other bodies are a man named Thomas Linbo, who left Chicago to go work for Belle, and then Henry Gerholt, who we know came to work for Belle and thought
Yep.
they were going to get married, a man named Olaf Svenherd, a man named John Moe, because his watch was found. Ray had his watch. A man named Olaf Lindblom. There are a host of bodies they could not identify.
Oh.
But once this came out, so many people wrote in with stories like this. This is why they don't know the full number. There are so many people who wrote in. Like one woman wrote in saying her husband left to go to LaPorte for a business opportunity to see about an investment.
And never came back.
So many family members wrote about men who were leaving to go marry a rich widow in LaPorte. So they have to assume.
Yeah.
I mean, there's dozens of these men.
Oh boy.
And there are some who escaped. So there was a man named Lon Townsend who was supposed to visit, but there was a really bad storm and he had to delay, and he was supposed to come like right after the house fire.
Oh my God.
There was another man named George Anderson who actually went to LaPorte. And on his first night there at midnight, he woke up and Belle was standing over him and she didn't really say anything. And
no,
he
I'm
said
out.
He said, I did not go back to sleep. I just sat until the sun came up and then I ran for my life.
Oh
and he's
my
the
God.
only one. He seems to be the only one who was a target and actually went there and survived.
Gotta be a light sleeper, am I right?
Yeah. So all the unknown victims actually were buried at the cemetery and have a memorial stone. They don't know who they are of the missing men that were mentioned.
Jeez.
You know how Belle's will worked? If her children were dead, it was supposed to go to the Norwegian Children's Home. The Norwegian Children's Home said, no, thank you.
I mean, I don't blame them.
Yeah, I mean, it's all money she got from stolen men, from men
gross.
she murdered.
Where would it go? Bury it.
So they start to pull together the evidence. Now, the medical examiner estimated that the female corpse would have been significantly smaller than Belle's frame.
Yeah, I knew it.
But it's hard to estimate that.
But she was beheaded.
And she was beheaded. None of the others were. Also,
she didn't do that to herself.
Andrew Helgeline had strychnine and arsenic in his stomach, enough to kill several times over, which is, we know, as the theme for these poisoners. So from that's where the theory comes that she would cook them a home-cooked meal, put poison in it. Once they're in terrible pain, they would be incapacitated. I mean, they would be probably vomiting or on their hands and knees. They would be in extreme pain. Then she would hit them over the head and then, take care of it and add quicklime to the sacks to try to help with decomposition. So that Sunday, the Sunday after the fire and all this has gotten out, 20,000 people come to the farm to see what's going on. There are vendors selling popcorn, lemonade.
There's a lot. That's a lot of people for like Indiana in that time of day. God damn it, I always do that time of year.
Time of day?
No, not time of year.
Did they come at noon? Yeah. I know that time and period.
Yes,
End it.
There you go.
Yeah, the train station had to add extra rides to
oh my God,
get them to LaPorte.
Yeah, it's a lot of people.
And people are selling like souvenirs.
That's gross.
People were taking whatever they could take, like bricks from the home.
Ew, why would you? I would, no, I'm not even going there. I'm not touching anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh. It's like a public hanging.
And then there starts to be tons of eyewitness accounts of people who say they see Belle.
Where?
Just around, all over. I mean, everywhere, all over the U.S. But what's interesting is John Anderson, who was her neighbor, said that the Saturday before the fire, he actually saw Belle riding by in her horse and buggy, and he stopped to say hello, and she had a woman with her, a stranger that he had never seen before, and he never saw her again. So his theory was that was the body that they found.
Yep. That's it. It wasn't her. I'm confident.
Is Belle dead or alive becomes just the hot topic because Ray is on trial for his life.
She's alive. Not anymore.
And if that is Belle, then it seems pretty likely Ray's the best suspect.
It's not.
If it's not Belle, then where is Belle? And maybe Ray had nothing to do with it. So that's why it becomes,
Oh,
I mean, it's
my
also,
God.
you want to know if a murderer is just out on the loose.
Yes.
So Belle had some bridge work done and by a dentist, and some of those teeth were gold.
There you go.
So they start looking for that. They're like,
Yeah.
well, if it really was her and she died in the fire, then her bridge work should be able to be found. So they bring in this miner who has the best name ever, Louis Klondike Schultz.
Wow.
And he spends some time mining for this. On May 19th, bridge work was found with gold teeth, and the dentist that worked on Belle said, this is my work and these are Belle's teeth. So Ray Lamphere is charged with murder of Belle and her children.
I don't believe it.
Ray claims he's innocent. They go to trial. Now, the autopsy claims that the doctor believes the children were, like you said, poisoned first.
Okay, good. I mean, not good.
I know, not good, but better than burning. The defense, their biggest play here is that body is not Belle.
No, it's not.
So they're trying to do anything they can to prove it. And they recreate the dental plate that they found on the property, and they burn it to see what would happen to it, because the dental plate they found was in very good condition. It was just like a little dirty.
That doesn't make sense.
And the gold had started to melt or soften, and the porcelain teeth around it were pitted and cracked and damaged. And so they say, like, hey, if this had been in the fire.
So she left that. Oh my God.
Well, the dentist says she couldn't have removed it herself. It was attached. So
she cut it out.
The defense finds two witnesses who said on the last day that the search was about to happen for the teeth, they both saw Klondike reach into his pocket and pull out the bridge work and toss it down.
Klondike.
So I don't know. Now, Klondike is nowhere to be found. He's left. He's out.
Yeah, you better skip town, bro.
He's gone. So nobody can ask him if that's true or not, which is a little bit alarming.
I mean, if you're skipping town, basically that's the answer.
And there are tons of testimonies about focusing on Belle's sexual escapades, right? Like she would go to Ray's room, she'd go to the farm. One farmhand said he was scared of her. He said, I loved her and I hated her at the same time. And he said, she made such love to me that I finally had to run away from the place.
Oh my God.
That's intense. Terrified of her. So closing arguments are basically, the prosecution says, hey, the body is Belle. Ray was jealous. He was also probably a criminal, or not probably, he was her criminal partner. He's helping her kill these guys. He's holding it over her. The teeth are Belle's. We found him. He did it.
He's not going to kill the kids. That's how I feel.
The defense says, okay, how could Ray have carried all the bodies downstairs and lined them up like that? Particularly Belle, because she's almost 300 pounds.
She's a big gal.
How did Ray get into the house? It was locked. Because the farmhand couldn't get back in through the front the doors because it was locked. And the teeth don't have the correct amount of damage. So, and where's the guy who found them? He's nowhere to be found. So there's a lot of doubt here. The jury deliberates for 26 hours, and they come back and they find Ray guilty of arson, but not murder. And he's sentenced to 2 to 21 years. He's sentenced to 2 to 21 years at Michigan City, prison number 4,140.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, big prison.
No.
His story about seeing the fire and not doing anything, that didn't help him.
That. But
let's help Ray out.
He saw her getting kerosene.
I don't know that he saw her getting kerosene. People, like the store, reported her.
At the store. They saw each other.
That was at the candy store. I don't think she was carrying the gallons. It was probably in the buggy.
Maybe not. I don't think he did that.
Well, Ray is pretty sick once he gets pretty shortly into his sentence. He has consumption or tuberculosis. Oh. And his family tries to get him pardoned because he's not going to survive it. And they try to get him out, but they won't let him get out. The authorities say unseal his lips and he can be released because he knows more than he's saying. And Ray doesn't say anything.
Piss off.
He dies in prison 1 year later at the age of 38.
Jeez.
So after he dies, it is a scene. So many people come forward saying that Ray had deathbed confessions. A paper publishes one that was later shown to be not true. And then a reverend would visit him constantly and says that Ray wrote down a confession but they can't find it anywhere. And so the reverend relays what Ray said to him. So here are some of the confessions, just throwing it out there, a grain of salt. The reverend says that Ray was working for Belle and men start arriving, and Ray and Belle are, an item in the middle of the night. But one night, Belle came to his room, wakes him up, and says, "Hey, here, can you take care of this burlap sack now?" And he goes and buries it in the yard. Belle pays him every time he takes care of these bodies. Now, Ray said that Belle subdues or kills them with chloroform, and that he often would buy chloroform for her, and then she hits him on the head. He said he cut a hole into one of the boards and watched, because he wanted to see what was happening. This is, again, through the reverend. So the reverend's saying, this is all hearsay. He wanted to see what was happening, and he watched Andrew get very sick, the last victim, and then Belle hit him over the head. Now, he says on the night of the fire, Ray was very drunk. He went back to the house to get more money because he wanted more money from Belle, and he'd been, getting paid for his efforts and his silence. And he chloroformed the whole family and searched the house. And then as he was leaving, he looked back and saw the house was on fire, and he doesn't know how that happened. So that's what the reverend said, Ray said. I don't know.
There's some pieces that don't add up.
And there's another confession by Harry Myers, who was an inmate with Ray and was taking care of him while he was sick. Now, he claims Ray confessed to him that Belle hired a housekeeper from Chicago a few days before the murder. Remember the strange woman that was seen?
Mm-hmm.
For the purpose of using her body. Belle cut off her head, put it in a box with a bunch of other heads, and had Ray bury it. She then poisoned her children. That night, Ray drove Belle about 10 miles away, and there was another man who he did not know who met them and took Belle the rest of the way. She had 2 suitcases and a tin of money. He went back to the house, set it on fire. Belle paid him $500 to do this. Now, this inmate says he admitted that Belle and him killed 42 men together. I mean, his job being disposing of the bodies, that she would spike their coffee, bash in their heads, cut up their bodies, put them in sacks. He explained that's what she did, and then I did the planting. That's what the inmate claims Ray told him.
Oh my God.
So I have no idea.
Sounds like he was complicit.
Honestly, that one seems the most likely to me, because why is he just seeing the fire? That seems like he was involved in some way.
That's disappointing.
Well, I mean, I don't think there's a lot of good characters in this.
Wait, but the farmhand was asked to dig holes.
Yeah, unknowingly, like dig holes for trash. But that was after Ray left. So after Ray left, she can't just ask this guy. Like I think she could probably tell what she had in Ray. I think she was involved with Ray physically. Also, Ray seems to be a very severe alcoholic.
So he just burns through money.
So he often would be in need of the money to buy alcohol. And I think this new farmhand was just, I don't think him and Belle were involved. I think he literally just was a farm. He also was only there. He wasn't there that long.
But why was he digging the hole or this was after Ray left?
Yeah, after Ray left.
Okay, got it.
For the other, I think. But
I think he's complicit then. I mean, well, is it an actual account from the inmate, or like is the newspaper spinning it?
No, from that one was from, I'm not even going to read the newspaper one because they said it wasn't true. And the Reverend one seems weird to me because he also waffled back and forth between, I can't tell you anything, it's privileged information, but I will tell you this. Like, and then he just said the whole thing the next day. I don't know. That inmate one seems but it also is from a man who was in jail for being a thief. So I don't know.
Yeah, but thieves can provide good tea.
Good tea? Oh yeah, that's true. Our special friend, our special thief. So that's the thing that scenario just makes the most sense.
That
Like
he
it
is
fits with all the
complicit.
pieces. Oh yeah, he's totally involved.
Wow.
He's obsessed with Belle. He's totally involved.
Why would she kick him out like that? That's just such a stupid thing to do. She's not thinking long term.
Well, they had this scheme. I mean, he was still working with her.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, what do you want him to stay in the house while she burns it to the ground?
No.
Maybe it was part of the plan.
Hmm.
So nobody knows for sure. In 2008, they tried to dig up the body of the beheaded woman, but the DNA results were inconclusive. They were not able to get
Did you
enough
say
to tell.
2008?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And in 1931, a woman named Esther Carlson was a big to-do. They thought it possibly was Belle. She was on trial for poisoning her husband, but died before the trial. She was the same age as Belle. They apparently looked alike. She had children the same age. But according to the book, it was confirmed years later that everything that woman said was true. She said, absolutely not. I'm not Belle. And she gave like a very detailed record of every place she'd been for her whole life. And it was confirmed that she was truthful. So that it was believed that was not Belle. But nobody knows what happened to her.
She's alive.
She was never found again. Oh, well, she's probably not still alive now.
Well, not
but
now.
I absolutely believe she fled in the night.
Yeah. That's not her. That's the other woman.
Yeah. Because why? It doesn't make sense that you decapitate that body. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
She didn't do that with anybody else unless she was putting them in the sack.
Right. Good Lord.
Yeah.
She's terrible.
Oh, yeah. Brutal.
Like there's no good reasons.
Just money.
Just money, man.
Just money.
Little pieces of paper.
And she was a wealthy woman. I mean, that's what's interesting to me though, is how could I have a hard time believing that she could like leave all that, what she had built up. I mean, I guess if your life's at stake, but that's a huge chunk of change.
Maybe she got paranoid in the end because it's not like they were closing in on her. I mean, her kids did say that weird thing at school, but I think she still could have played around it.
So another thing I forgot to mention is, she kept reporting Ray for trespassing and whatever. I don't know if, she was really mad at him or this was part of it, but she kept reporting him for trespassing. And on the last one, the lawyer that Ray had finally was like, okay, Ray's trespassing on your property. Let's talk about your husbands. And he started asking her about both her husbands who died. And everybody in the courtroom was like, oh, that's such and such bad taste. How dare you ask a lady about that?
Oh my God.
And Belle was like, oh crap. And then shortly after this all happened. So that might have been something that tipped her off and she thought, I got to get out of here.
But she probably took some money with her.
Oh, I'm sure she took a ton of money with her.
Yeah.
But I'm just surprised she was able to walk away from, I don't know, not selling the farm kind of quickly and then jetting. Or who knows? I'd be interested if she had a insurance policy on the house and who it went to. And people showed up, like her sister showed up because her sister couldn't believe that she didn't leave any of the money to her and her family.
Yeah.
And they contested the will.
That's messed up.
Yeah, right? And then Jenny Olsen's sister showed up because remember she had other biological siblings because she hadn't heard from Jenny in years. And she said, I can't believe that she wouldn't leave Jenny something. She raised Jenny.
She's dead.
Yeah, and then they found what they believed to be Jenny. So a real charmer.
Wow, that was brutal.
I mean, isn't she a Jolly Jane, Bloody Benders, just all wrapped up into one person?
That's exactly it.
Ugh.
Gross.
Yeah. And so she's so interesting to me because she's like all aspects of the serial killer. So she fits the female profile, like the Marianne Cotton, like she's poisoning, she's doing it for money, she's got those motivations. But then she also seems to cross the line a little bit and enjoy the dismemberment and the
That's
violence of it, because
disgusting.
she's hitting these men over the head, which is violent, and then she's cutting them up, and like, so she's the
What the
only
blood you get
serial
under your
killer
nails?
that seems to cross both male and female
Ugh.
motivations a bit. Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
I hate
Oh,
it.
Belle. Hell's princess.
She is Hell's princess. That's really gross.
An ogress, they call her, which is an interesting word.
Ugh.
Yep.
She's awful.
Yeah. I mean,
Hopefully
and then she just
died of
disappeared. It
something
kills
really
me
bad.
that she got away. Yeah, I know. I hope something. She just got away. She must have done it elsewhere. It's not like she could stop doing this.
I bet more
People think
men
maybe
fell
she
to
went back to
this.
Norway.
I mean, that'd be a smart move. God.
That's why she was never seen. But sad ending for Ray, who is probably involved.
Yeah.
And a sad ending for her kids.
Yeah, that is just terrible. I don't know how you could do that.
And the only heroes in the story are the brothers. So you've got
the brothers, the two brothers.
The two brothers. You've got Peter's brother who saved his niece, and then you have Andrew's brother who basically found everything. Was like, hold on a second,
God,
let's look a little more, because who knows if they would have thought to really dig there if he hadn't asked. They were just digging under the ruins, really just looking. Yeah. They're just looking for the children. They're not expecting to look for anybody else.
Oh, terrible.
Yep. You know what I just realized?
What?
Is, do you remember on the day of the fire, the girls, Myrtle and Lucy, were crying to their teacher because they got a beating for going down into the cellar?
Mm-hmm.
I bet, I said originally that was because she often kept bodies in the cellar before she dismembered them. That's what the theory was. But I bet you the housekeeper woman was already down there, the body of the beheaded woman.
Oh.
Right? Because she shouldn't have any other bodies around.
No.
No other bodies were found in the cellar, and all the other people were buried. So why, I know they're not supposed to go down there, but if you're in Belle's head and we believe that Belle escaped, then she knows that she's going to kill her children that day. So what does it matter if they go down to an empty cellar? Which makes me think something must be in there, and she doesn't want them to go to school and tell.
Right. That's why I initially thought she kept all the bodies down there, but that would make sense. Can you imagine the smell down there?
Yeah. Well, things seemed a little stinkier in general. Maybe their noses weren't as sensitive.
Chamber pots and all.
I mean, there was just trash in the yard. Like, there was legitimate trash in all of these holes as well. Yeah. So I bet you the housekeeper, she wasn't even a housekeeper, really. The woman was already dead and in the cellar, and Belle was just waiting for later that day to put the children down, arrange the children down there. Ugh. That's what I think.
You're probably right, yeah.
Ugh, but anyway.
Terrifying. Hell's princess, terrifying. That's for sure.
Yeah. So what do you have for us? Any last words?
I mean, I've been thinking through this, and it's like, what can you offer advice here? And
is there, I would say, an opportunity?
If you love to butcher pigs, stick to pigs. And if you're really desperate for money, like in these times, she's a charmer. Go to like New York or something and charm a quote millionaire, whatever that means in the 1800s, and just stick it out.
So you mean just marry a rich man?
Marry like a rich dude. What are some of the rich dudes back then? What are the big names? Rochester, like those guys.
Do you mean Rockefeller?
Yep.
Yeah. Find Mr. Rochester and marry him post haste.
Like, I am not for, I encourage marrying for love, but in this case, to avoid about, 30 to 40 people dying, I would say this is a good alternative.
I love your advice. You're not like, hey, Belle, maybe get on some meds and see a therapist. You're like, Belle, just take advantage of one lonely millionaire man for the rest of your life. What's your problem?
And keep pigs. If you need the violence, no, don't be violent to the pigs, or I'll knock on your door.
I know.
But
keep making bacon and then just
Yeah.
marry a man who brings it home.
Yeah.
Got really
Yeah.
jazzed about that.
Or, okay, no. One more thing. She should get into a martial arts or a combat sport.
I'm sure those were prevalent for women in 1908. I'm sure there were studios all over LaPorte, Indiana.
You know what? She could have been a little bit more creative.
God.
And Rocky. Like, they go into the freezer and the dead one, they do.
Okay, stop.
Okay.
Stop. We're both
Well, I'm just
vegetarians.
I'm a vegetarian.
What am I?
We're more so pescatarians. But yes, we do not eat pigs, and pigs are cute and smart. But, we won't judge you. We're not judgy pescatarians.
No, I mean, some people should eat meat.
We're both married to carnivores. So.
Yeah, everybody should do what works for them.
Exactly.
End of story.
That is my philosophy. Anyways.
End of story.
Marry a rich honey. Beat up dead thing. No, that's not the direction, really. You should probably see a therapist.
Yeah, again, probably not a lot of therapists just bebopping around in 1908.
Yeah. In Indiana.
I mean, why don't you just con people, Belle, and then just jet in the
Instead
night?
of
Clearly,
killing, she had a knack
craves
for violence.
yeah, she craves it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But there's nothing I can say to help her.
And she got away. I'm positive.
She got away. That's definitely not her. Anyway, all right. So you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram at
Tea Time Crimes.
You can find us on, nope, I already said that. You can email us at
teatimecrimes@gmail.com. Spread the word. Tell your cats. Tell
Here
your
she goes.
sisters. Tell your chloroformers. Tell your butchers. Tell your little piggies.
What was your first one?
Cats.
Tell your who? Oh.
Cats would love this show. Are you kidding me?
What? Why would cats love this show?
I think they're into true crime.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense if they were people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Dogs would be more into sports podcasts, I think.
Yeah, they will listen to.
And self-help. All right. I don't know. They seem sweet. All right. Thank you so much for listening. You can rate, review, like, subscribe. Please share with your friends. Share on the Okay. Share social media. And thank you so much for listening. We will talk to you. You will hear us next week.
You will.
Bye.
Don't forget it. Bye.